Here we go. So we are in the studio here, and we're going to walk through a little bit of my thoughts on setting up a Patchbay. So basically, I like my Patchbays to not to be normaled in a state where I can open up the DAW, choose inputs, and record most of the things I need to record. So if someone brings in an additional interesting instrument, and we need to set up an additional mic, that would not be something I would have normaled on my Patchbay. The normaled inputs are the ones that I want to use all the time. And those include things like my drum set. They include vocals, because I do a lot of rehearsals here with Black's Backbone. So all of those are normaled, meaning the connection from the microphone out in the tracking room goes into the back of the Patchbay, and then into the input of the preamp, which then comes into my DAW. So the way I've set it up here is basically this top this set of 8, is my drum set. Kick in, kick out, snare bottom. That's a little weird, but I'll explain in a second. Tom 1, tom 2, hi-hat. That's it. And then you have a talkback for the drummer, and there's an isolation booth in there. So that's one set of preamps. I have basically my drums and a talkback and that. And you might say, where's the snare top? Well, I like this Audient ASP880 preamp a lot for the snare top. So I have it down there. I might actually flip those eventually. I might put the snare top here and snare bottom on the Audient. But it also has a high-pass filter built in. So I really dig that. So I have my snare bottom down here on the Audient, which is kind of a catch-all, but I'll explain that in a second. The second set of pre's has my bass DI, one of my keyboards, a second keyboard, a third keyboard, my guitar post effects pedal DI, a vocals for the digital drum set, and my left and right output from the digital drum set. So that's another 8 inputs. And those, I don't have to patch those, they're just built in. This last set of 8, which are kind of my higher quality preamps, the Audient ASP880s here, has my vocals, which are on 58s, which might sound weird, but it's because we do a lot of rehearsing for Black's Backbone, and I need to have at some sort of EQ, otherwise I get all sorts of ridiculous low-end frequency stuff on the mic. So my vocals in the lead for the center of the room, my vocals for Nay on keyboards, my vocals for me, the Blizz vocals, and my vocals for the guitar players. Then I have that snare top. I have a vocal for the isolation booth, which I haven't even finished building, but because I want it there. And then I have my overheads for the drum set down here. So that is my basic setup. The other 20, well, there's more than 24, but let's just say the other 24 inputs out in the studio, they may have things plugged into them, but in order to utilize them, I would actually have to patch from this second Patchbay up to the preamps in the first Patchbay. So I would lose it because I've only got 24 preamps. If I had 48, that'd be great. Still wouldn't cover everything. But I figure having all that additional information or additional ability is really key to when someone comes in and they have a third, a fourth tom, for example. Suddenly I'm like, well, how do I do that? Well, I've got enough snake channels in there, and they're all going to be in the Patchbay. So when I'm recording drums, I'm probably not recording all 3 keyboards, or I'm probably not recording all these vocals that I use in rehearsals down here. So I would patch into those channels and utilize those in the DAW. It makes sense to me. I like to be able to sit down and start working as fast as possible, and I don't like having a whole lot of patch cables flying around my Patchbay that are a default setup. The only one here is a producer's like iPod playback 1/8 inch thing going on there. So I kind of leave that just hanging out. And that goes into my auxiliary input of my PreSonus central station here. So that doesn't go through a preamp or anything. Cool. That's how we do it.